All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free, 1-800-610-7035. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, Xzone Radio TV, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. My guest this hour is Brad Johnson. He is a conscious matrix communicator, which is a psychic channeler, healer, and spiritual teacher. He is a vast consciousness, insightful resource for those who are pursuing a spiritual path, looking to understand more about themselves and their natural intuitive psychic ability. Brad serves as a catalyst to show everyone the self-reflection of who they are and what they are capable of with the service he offers through his website, which is www.consciousmatrix.com. Joining me now from Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada is Brad Johnson. And Brad, welcome to the X Zone.
Thank you so much for having me.
Brad, how did you get started as a conscious matrix communicator?
Well, it all started back in August of 2008. I was actually just getting into writing, as I've been writing for many years. And I wanted to write a book that was basically a nonfiction science fiction. And being able to do this, I wanted to do a lot of research online. And being able to do a lot of research online, I was discovering that a lot of other psychics, intuitives, contactees, members of the Black Ops communities have also basically agreed that in order for one to really connect with the ET beings, what they feel is very, very real, you have to go into meditation. And being able to connect with these particular beings really is just a very harmonious state, because they too believe in what's known as a one infinite creator. And just being able to discover a lot of this really interesting information, I was just absolutely bewildered, just completely, beside myself with joy about looking into this. It's just a part of myself that was absent for a good portion of my life. So being able to research this a lot more, I decided to put the book on hold, and I wanted to go deeper into this myself. I just really became instantly fascinated by meditation, as I was never really interested in it before. I really wanted to get more into channeling, the ability to connect with other extensions of your consciousness. I wanted to get into more with healing and more relating to Akashic records and more into remote viewing. So all of these really just started to sprout, kind of like a blossoming flower. And throughout that time, I started to befriend a lot of psychics, a lot of intuitives, a lot of healers, and I learned from a lot of their craft and basically showing me a lot of different techniques. I basically took a lot of those techniques and transformed it into my own form and began to have these revelations. I would wake up in the middle of the night and just have these dreams that were so profound and so amazing that I would just wake up fully the next morning and now start to know things I did not know before. The nature of the universe, paradoxical mechanics, the nature of energy healing, the ability to channel. So a lot of this all started to happen throughout the months that took place. This eventually led to me becoming what's known as a vocal channel, which first started through the process also known as automatic writing. Through automatic writing, I was able to go into vocal channeling through an extension of my consciousness that could be referred to as the higher self, representing his name as Adronis. And basically that came through, and I started to develop that over the years. And it wasn't until shortly before December of 2012 where I started to develop what's known as conscious matrix communication, which means that there is no longer a necessity to go into an altered state of consciousness to access information. One has been able to develop their own abilities on a natural level as they see it as a part of their own senses, and they're now able to connect with an extension of their own consciousness in a natural state rather than feeling that there needs to be any kind of alterations in consciousness. So since December of 2012, I've been able to connect a lot more with the matrix of myself, and this is basically why it's referred to as conscious matrix communication, representing the idea of the wholeness of one's being that they're able to access in a conscious state.
Fascinating. We've got about 30 seconds before I have to go for my commercial break. Is there an ET psychic conscious matrix connection?
Yes, they're basically all one together. So just all extensions through extraterrestrial, through human-based life, through angelic consciousness are basically all connect and intertwined together through conscious matrix communication, because you're basically utilizing your voice basically as the voice of the universe, where you are the vessel communicating in this way.
And this communication is instantaneous?
Instantaneous. That's
wow.
It.
Brad, stand by. You and I have to take our first commercial break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Exonation, Brad Johnson is our special guest this hour. He is conscious matrix communicator, which is psychic channeler, healer, spiritual teacher, and much more. We're going to be back talking to Brad on the other side of this 2-minute commercial break, and going deeper into the conscious matrix. By the way, his website is www.consciousmatrix.com. That's www.consciousmatrix.com. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. Brad Johnson and I will return on the other side of this commercial break. Don't go away. Exonation, Brad Johnson, the Conscious Matrix, is my guest this hour. www.consciousmatrix.com is his website. And Brad, how does one know who's just starting to get onto the path of enlightenment, who is looking for the right place to be so they can enrich themselves in this vast and new experience that they're starting to feel? There are so many different people out there offering different modalities, different ideas, different concepts, different philosophies. How does someone brand new who's fallen off the coconut tree or the cabbage truck, however you want to metaphorize it, how do they know which true path to follow that will give them all the answers that they're seeking?
Right. I mean, really, the beginning part of that really starts when you start to question everything about reality. Mm-hmm. When you feel that there is no longer any solidity within reality, that everything really is just contained with a question mark, and that you're always going to meet other people who will want to help you, because many people are just not shy to being able to give their perspective and saying, well, this is how you need to live life. This is what's worked for me, so why don't you go ahead and give that a try? Now, that person may go ahead and feel that, oh, okay, well, that's a very interesting idea there, and go ahead and try it, but they feel that it's actually not quite their fit. And the reason being is because every single person that is here on Earth is of a unique quality, and that we're not meant to piggyback off each other and utilize identical forms of philosophies or truths in regards to something that will work for one person but may not work for us. And so basically all I do to operate is actually give the person understandings about how I can perceive their own understandings of their questions, and being able to share that back with them, and feeling that all particular paths that I want to share with a person is very open-ended, and basically giving into the idea that they can actually befriend a lot more of their vulnerability. Because right now, a lot of us that seek truth are basically looking for a solid answer. It's basically coming into a point of knowingness. And basically what I would like to encourage working together with people is being able to help them unknow themselves. It kind of goes back to that old Star Wars line from The Empire Strikes Back with what Yoda says, you must unlearn what you have learned. And that is precisely it. So the key here in regards to a philosophy is to make it an anti-systematic system, is basically to reflect it into a state of paradox, that the person is not given the answer, that the insight in regards to what they're receiving from one who is facilitating their assistance in helping them is actually showing them the mirror reflections of themselves, of what they're still holding on to, of what they still feel they are taking for granted, or what they feel that they are underestimating within themselves. So it's basically being able to share yourself as a reflective light or a reflective mirror to let a person know exactly the greatness that they obtain by firstly showing how they can peel the layers of themselves off like an onion. And that's basically done by feeling that whatever I'm holding on to that causes me pain is the aspect of what I can transcend for me now to become painless. And that's the whole idea. So it's not about the idea of a lot of these truthful philosophies, and a lot of them are very, very commendable, and a lot of them are very, very profound. And they certainly do trigger a lot of stimulation within the mind. But the key really is just to understand exactly who a person is by unlearning themselves, what they have adopted in regards to philosophies and personal beliefs that they feel may be good, but really haven't brought them to where they feel they are empowered and they feel their greatness. So it really is being able to work together with them as a mirror and reflect back to them in regards to what they're holding on to, because another person is not here to give you the answers. Another person is simply here to serve you as a catalyst and basically showing you exactly what you're still holding on to, relating to the aspects of needs, to the ideas of wants, to the ideas of attachments, and to the ideas of possessions. And if you feel that all of that energy is now being revealed through that which is a catalyst, which is basically everybody in our reality, then now you're giving yourself a second thought. Oh my goodness, maybe I have been holding on to this for a while. Maybe I feel that I haven't been good enough to make a financial abundance, to have financial abundance in my life, to have a relationship that really is a compliment to me rather than the idea of a need. So all of these are just reflecting back into a state of realization. The true catalyst that really works effectively is the one that stimulates realization within a person to now allow them to drop a bag that they have been holding on to for a very long time. And those bags simply represent and revolve around the idea of belief.
All right. In your opinion, being an expert, in your opinion, what is the number one reason why people hold themselves back?
Belief. And that's really the whole idea,
Belief
that
in
they
themselves.
hold validity. Yeah, validity through the idea of what they feel they deserve. And a lot of us that come into the world are basically just starting to go through this, through parents, through education, through our job, through our coworkers, through our best friends. All of that comes together in regards to actually going into the social structure and being indoctrinated through the idea of the programming of belief.
So are you saying that we have been programmed to fail?
Basically, that's the whole idea. It represents the idea of saying that how deep can you go into a system that's not meant to work out before you realize you're ready to transcend it so that you can now work out for yourself. The only way that a person is ever going to achieve freedom is when they themselves realize that they are their own personal republic, that they are the liberator of their own woes, that the pain that they are feeling is something that they have cast the reflections throughout reality to reflect back to them and saying, this is what you've been carrying on, and this is the reason through these reflections why you haven't found the freedom within yourself, because you attempt to bend your own will to appease a society that has never understood the way of perfection. And so the whole idea is that we feel we have to be perfect within a society that does not know perfection itself. And that, therefore, becomes the trap, because the systems that we indoctrinate ourselves in, through all different types, are giving a really, really wonderful lesson, because they're showing you, in that idea, the flaws of where these systems cannot benefit everybody, and they cannot benefit the self, because there will always be problems. This is why politicians will never be the idea. It doesn't matter what kind of politician you have. They're always going to be the feeling that, well, if I give my power to this person, they'll take care of me. And that is primarily what we have been bred to believe through the moment that we came into this world, the feeling that we need to be taken care of.
And we see that a lot these days. For example, in the United States, they have gone from we the people to I the person, and they're all a bunch, they sit back and complain a lot. But when it comes to making the difference, they leave it up to other people.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's where there's just so much of a lag behind a lot of these things that represent quote-unquote progress.
Right.
It's more so on the idea that what can we say that's really, really fancy that will get people to still hold on to our power, and being able to give that to us. And that's been the whole idea of the constant hamster in a wheel effect here, is that when we want to really see that action, we have to be the causal effect. We need to be the ones that become the action and the result into everything that we want to heal within our lives.
One of my most favorite lines from the great and departed Robin Williams was, "Yep, the hamster is dead, but the wheel's still going round."
Exactly.
So tell me, Brad, what started you on your spiritual journey?
Yeah, I mean, this really just unfolded into something that I never expected myself to really go into. I mean, if you were really to look, because I have been doing this for about 6 years, and if you were to ask me 6.5 years ago if I was going to be doing something like this, I would say, no way, that's just not possible. I never, imagined that I would be doing something like this. But it really just led from one thing to another. I was just starting out very curious about meditation. I was very curious about looking more into the ability of channeling to connect to these connections, these extensions of your consciousness. And it just really started to blossom into every other particular factor that spirituality and truth and consciousness collide together with. And so it just has been kind of this filling cup of knowledge that just keeps rising and keep rising. And I'm just taking that cup and I'm continuing to drink all that liquid down so that the cup itself remains as empty as possible. So it really has just been a lot of shifts, a lot of transformations, and a lot of realizations that have come together and saying that this is what I've been meant to do since day one. And I just really had to understand that I needed to shed away a lot of layers myself, because I had a lot of belief systems and feeling that, maybe I was meant to do something else. Maybe I was meant to do marketing, or maybe I was meant to do filmmaking or writing. And I still do those to certain forms of extensions, but now they're more so in complement to what I truly feel I am right now. And that's just helping in regards to spiritual facilitation and being this catalyst for, being able to communicate with the matrix. And it really is just such a vast and beautiful and wonderful field, because there's always going to be something that you're learning every single moment. It's just you look at the people in your life, you look at the situations that you start to work with, that you're a part of, and everything just really shifts your perspective into something that's just so marvelous. It's just perplexing to me at times about where I'm able to go. Because a lot of the communication that I'm doing right now isn't even really from the personality. It's more so what's known as intuitive conversation. It's basically where you're letting the words itself become the conversation. And everybody really has the ability to do this, but because we've been so trained within the programming that is contained within our physicalized ego, we feel that we have to indoctrinate or edit or modify ourselves just to make sure that we can sound that we are appropriate, that something that we say is very, very in relationship, in rapport with each other. But when you really start just to let go of the feeling of the personality and you allow intuition to come together, intuition now becomes your voice. It now becomes your posture. It now becomes your whole epicenter relating to the understanding of reality. So all the words that I'm fundamentally speaking right now are basically just coming to the flow of intuition and letting the words become themselves. And as these words become spoken, people who are in alignment in some form to what we're talking about here will really click into that and say, oh my goodness, there's a realization that's happening here. Maybe I can look more into this with myself. And that's the whole point, is that I never have any really conscious control, so to speak, about what is being taken place. It's just the words becoming themselves altogether through intuition.
It seems as if, Brad, there's a little switch that's being turned on in people, and they're seeking the answers to questions that maybe 2 years ago, 1 year ago, 3 months ago, or yesterday, they really had no desire to find the answer for. But now something is happening, and let's talk more about this on the other side of this news break. Exonation, my guest this hour is Brad Johnson. His website is www.consciousmatrix.com. That's www.consciousmatrix.com. Brad and I will be back on the other side of this news break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send us an email, tell us if there's a special guest you'd like us to get on, if there's a special topic you'd like us to discuss, or maybe you'd just like to get something off your chest, or maybe you just need somebody to share an experience with. We're always here, X Zone Nation. The website is xzone at xzoneradiotv.com. That's xzone at xzoneradiotv.com. Or you can give us a call at 1-800-610-7035. My name's Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. We'll be back on the other side of this break with the news. Don't go away. Brad Johnson is our guest, X Zone Nation. www.consciousmatrix.com. Brad, before we went to the commercial break, I started talking about it seems as if a little switch is being flicked on in people, and this seems to be more and more prevalent after December 2012. What's the connection?
Yes, I mean, a lot of people have been talking about this just for the longest time. Even before I was getting into a lot of the spiritual consciousness, there was always a lot of information relating to December 2012. And there has definitely been a switch. There's definitely been a shift that has taken place. And really that our entire world, our entire star system, our galaxy, works together in forms of cycles, and that basically December of 2012 represented one of these cycles of shifting, and it really represented what was known as a kind of like a time lock that has expired, and that everything prior to December 21st, 2012, in regards to the culmination of the collective consciousness relating to the energies of how we understand each other, relating to our own personal growth and everything else within the planet, has basically hit that time lock. As that time lock has now reached its point, its apex, as it were, now we're shooting off into the high momentum of everything of what that energy was at that point on December 21st, 2012, and now we're living it out. So this very large acceleration. So this is why a lot of people, and especially with a lot of people that I've been working with, from clients and just people I've been talking to, have been noticing these shifts. And it's really quite fascinating because I've worked with thousands of people all over the world these past 6 years, and they're all saying, oh my goodness, I'm feeling this new sensation within myself. I'm feeling that the world is so different. I'm seeing all of these beautiful visions. I'm getting the ability of intuition coming together. I feel a lot of psychic upliftment. I've had extraterrestrial encounters. You know, I've heard a lot, and it really is just amazing about being able to see this switch. So basically, we have reached an energetic time within our civilization's modern age where we're actually now starting to accelerate in this whole new consciousness. It's basically a harmonic convergence that has taken place. And this harmonic convergence is basically bringing us into a whole new adaptability about us becoming a very, I guess you could say, slow but steady new human race. And you can basically see this with a lot of the new children that are coming together. Some of them are just so amazingly brilliant.
The indigo children.
Exactly. Yeah.
Brad, why is it that so many people expected doom and gloom on December the 21st, 2012?
Well, that's the basis of how fear is bred into our society. The first thing that many of us has to think, oh my goodness, are we going to be okay? Are we going to survive? What's happening? Is this world going to blow up? It all represents the idea of a culmination to those that still feel personal insecurity within themselves. And then they gravitate to those other energies that feel that inadequacy, that insecurity within themselves, and feel that, oh my goodness, December 21st, 2012 comes, and where it's the end of civilization. We become so addicted to the idea of fear that fear itself is attempting to bring more of a prominence into society in regards to that which is its opposite, love. But the whole idea really is that fear, if you're looking at it in its totality, really is only about 4 to 5% in regards to what we're actually experiencing on Earth. When we're actually looking at that 95 to 96%, there are a lot of people that when you see yourself, falling on the ground and tripping, you'll have a dozen people at least that want to help you back up. When you feel that a person is basically having some type of injury or they're not feeling well, you have all these people around asking you, are you all right? Are you okay? So we're basically looking at the idea that a lot of the love contained within our planet is very, very vast, but we tend to shield it and cover it up with the idea of a lot of the fear, because we've been bred into fear, the feeling that, again, we're limited and that we're conditional and we have to depend upon the system, and if we don't, here's the consequence. And so it really has been the idea of a programming that has attempted to broadcast consequence in regards to any action. We must suffer first before we can succeed. And that's always been the feeling, that if something new is happening, we're going to go through some immense suffering first before we're able to succeed. But then it transforms into that idea of doom and gloom. So people that are really bred into that fear, because that's what they've lived their whole life, is the idea of fear, consequence. I don't deserve to have this. I don't deserve to be this kind of enlightened, illuminated individual. I need to go through the trenches first. And so the trenches are basically giving the manifestation of the feeling of fear vibration.
For example, no pain, no gain.
That's right.
Yeah. Can you just
imagine? It's not to say that you cannot have pain in that sense to learn, because that's the whole point. You really look into yourself. You move into the darkness first before you can come into the light. But the whole idea is a lot of people feel that it's hopeless, that you're basically stuck in the darkness and that's all there is to life, and that there is no light at the end of the tunnel. All there is just being stuck in this cave.
Can you just imagine if instead of the negative programming that we're all subjected to, if it would have been positive programming?
Exactly, and that's precisely what we're moving into right now, is a lot of people who are said, you know what, I'm just not going to be doing this negative programming anymore. I'm going to look into myself, I'm going to look into my reflections, I'm going to look into my looks, my needs, my desires, my ambitions, and I'm going to really utilize those as a realization catalyst to help me transform into something very positive. And now, surprisingly, that's where we're going. There's a lot of people right now who I've been talking to who have just made such amazing strides into a lot more of a positive-based lifestyle. They're becoming much more financially abundant, going into new industries they never thought that they would be going into, developing new grassroots concepts, new organizations, new free flows of energy that are just, catapulting them into new relationships, into new career, into new finances, and everything is starting to take place in that way. And it is, in that sense, like a 100th monkey effect. And so the 100th monkey is now starting to happen. And now that's just slowly starting to process. But because we do exist within linear time reality, it's about being able to see the transition of this take effect.
Brad, tell me about your guide, Adronis.
Yes, basically, again, I was able to communicate with him back in December of 2008. And one of my friends, who was also a channeler, was telling me about the energies known as Sirius, again, the star of Sirius A, the dog star, so to speak. And he just said, you know what, Brad, just being able to sense your energies right now, I feel that you have a very, very strong energetic connection to this star. And what you should do is just go into meditation and connect with the energy of that star, because I feel that there's a being, that there's an entity there who wants to talk to you. And I decided that, yes, okay, I will do this. And so I went into a meditation state. I did what's known as the automatic writing process. And just being able to connect without really any particular type of, I guess you could say, miraculous aspect coming together, I was able to receive a transmission that just came through the pen in my hand, and being able to write all these words as the words became themselves. So just like I'm doing intuitive conversation, the conversation through the pen came together, and this was the entity known as Adronis. And basically he introduced himself to me as what is known as a future version of myself, 297 years in the future, and that he has come back at this time to assist in bringing forward more of my spiritual evolution. And that much of our unique contract involves that as I start to learn more about my spiritual evolution, others will be able to go with the ride with me, as he will be assisting others as well too. So this was the nature of our contract. And since that time of December 2008, Adronis has come through, and I've been able to do a process of channeling with him. It is very similar to how some people may understand someone like Abraham Hicks, or someone like Bashar, or someone like Seth. All of those have basically just come together in the same capacity, just in a very similar style, but brought forward in my own unique way via the channeling state. So all you're doing is, it's like when an actor becomes the part. You're basically just connecting to this energy. The energy becomes you, you become the energy, and the words become themselves. Again, just like the intuitive conversation I'm doing now.
The information that Adronis is able to channel through you to those who seek you for your mediumship, where does he get the information from?
Yes, well, his energy is connected to basically all life. It's connected to all extensions. And so it's very similar to as if you were to see a crowd of people all behind each other, and they all have these cords that are connected to each other, all to their hearts. And that as one being is speaking, then they're basically receiving a soup or a blending of all of these energies coming through their heart to share this. And so Adronis himself really would not represent the idea of an individual. The name itself is simply been served for convenience, and it serves for a particular energetic through me. But basically what he's doing is he's representing himself as a liaison. He's kind of like the one that's going up to the podium while he's connected to all of these other beings and all to these other aspects of life, and is actually communicating in a blending of consciousness that is then flowed through me and interpreted through language. So basically he is a liaison or a representative on behalf of the collective consciousness.
Why in the year 2014 are people so still fascinated with mediumship and channeling and other aspects of divination?
it's becoming such a trend right now, really. I think it's really going to be popular than the next rock star, really. I think that's really where we're going right now, because now people are seeing the fascination, because it's not about the idea of saying that, well, do we have a lot of facts behind this? There will be certain facts if we're looking at consciousness science, but it's more so in the idea that people are really embellishing into their own truth. And they're seeing that everything that they are able to manifest in regards to their thoughts, in regards to their way of thinking, their mentality, is now starting to become their reality. Now people are just starting to see this a lot more. No matter how hardcore skeptic or hardcore doubters they've been, they're now starting to see this, and so many people cannot deny this now and say, oh my goodness, there's something here that we have just been told for generations upon generations, from our ancient cultures to many of our top specialists right now and educational experts are now saying this is exactly what's happening. Your thoughts become reality. You're creating your reality. Look into the power of the now.
Sure.
Look at positive thinking and how that's going to transform your life. Now people are seeing this, and they're seeing it for themselves. It's right in front of their face, and now, oh my goodness, this is something that's fantastic. I have to share it with the world. That person tells another person, and you do that a million times. And that's basically what's happening. In fact, I feel that within the next 5 years, when you're looking at spirituality and consciousness, it's going to be about as popular as just being excited about the next rock band, being able to look into that, so we're such a musical culture, but I think right now the new music is really going to be the music of spirituality and higher consciousness.
When we talk about visualization and, the premise behind The Secret and other forms of visualization, do people, one of the biggest flaws I see with the entire concept, it's not the concept where it's flawed. It's the people, how they perceive the concept works. Like they think that, okay, I'm visualizing this, I'm visualizing this, I'm visualizing this, and they say, hey, wait a minute, it's not working. Is it me, or are they forgetting the most important part of this entire formula is that they have to work in making this happen? It's just not going to be dropped
correct.
on their lap.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah. And it's all part of an energetic, and that's how we operate in this reality. It's a person that feels that I'm just going to sit on my couch, go in the lotus position, I'm going to meditate for that beautiful red car that I want. And one day it's just going to show up in my driveway. One day it's going to show up in my driveway. And they'll be doing that for days. They'll be doing that for weeks. But if they feel that they're not taking any action in regards to the manifestation that they're looking to bring in, then they're just going to continue to sit on the couch in that lotus position. It's not to say that the energy of the universe is not listening to you, but when you're basically putting out that request, it's very similar to how someone, like a mailman would receive the mail. The mailman is not just going to sit there and feel that the mail is going to deliver itself. He needs to get up off his desk, put all that mail into the sack, and then start delivering it to the addresses. So again, the action allows the gift of the mail to come together to people's doors. And it's the same thing with us, is that we have to take the action to bring forward the intention of the manifestation. So when you're really looking at the quote-unquote law of attraction, all you're doing is you're asking for what it is that you want to perceive as in your reality. You're taking action. You're becoming the vibration of what that energy represents. And this will therefore bring forward the opportunities for such a manifestation to come into your reality. So it really is about asking, becoming, and receiving opportunity.
One of my favorite sayings that I've said throughout my life is that the only difference between a dream and reality is doing it. The dream is the thought. Your actions bring forth your dream.
Exactly, and that's exactly correct. And that's really what our dreams are, is that they are basically unmanifested material. And all we're attempting to do is bring those dream planes onto Earth, as what many people would say, bringing heaven onto Earth. And in order for that to happen, you have to feel that unmanifested material that's contained in the ethers is just as real to you as being able to take a deep breath in and a deep breath out through physical reality. So that's basically the whole premise, is that if you really feel that I want to go on a trip to Hawaii, or I want to meet the person of my dreams, then I need to look more into myself of what I feel I am preventing from actually making that happen, rather than the idea of saying, oh, universe, can this happen? The universe is telling you all the time, yes, this can absolutely happen, but the thing is you haven't taken any action to making this happen. If you feel that you want to have that relationship, but you're very, very needy and you feel that you cling on to people and that you feel that you just need to have a relationship, and here you are asking for a divine relationship, a loving relationship, how can there be that true love when there is so much need and so much attachment to other things, the physicalized aspects of the relationship? So it's basically the universe saying that just start to unpeel the layers of yourself and realize that you are attracting these aspects. You attain new realization, and now the opportunity for a new partner can come your way because you have addressed the barriers that have prevented you from allowing a partner like that to manifest.
You know, years ago, we used to have Psychic Friday nights, and I'd bring on 4 different psychics, or an astrologer, a tarot card reader, and a channeler. And I stopped it because we would get the same people calling in, asking the same question. It came to a point where I'd say, well, what are you doing to make things change? You know, this one lady would call up about, is she going to find Mr. Right? And after about the 4th week, I said, well, what are you doing to find Mr. Right? If you're just sitting at home doing nothing and waiting for the phone to ring, it's not going to happen. Or, you know, am I going to get that new job? Well, have you applied for the job? You know, the simplistic things in life that people seem to take for granted. And, you know, if you confess it, you will possess it. And the difference between a dream and reality is just doing it. Brad, you and I have to take our final break for this hour. Thanks so much for sharing your time with us here tonight on the X-Zone. X-Zone Nation, my guest this hour is Brad Johnson, www.consciousmatrix.com. And Brad and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't forget, X-Zone Nation, it's simple. But you have to make it happen. Anything is possible, but you have to work and make it happen. That's the simplicity of it all. We'll be back. Don't go away. www.consciousmatrix.com is the website of my guest this hour, Brad Johnson. Brad, it's a great pleasure having you on the show. I love the way that you think. I love the message that you're getting across. And what I really love is you're telling people, hey, you have to take responsibility and make your dreams come true. And that's just by coming up with the idea, working to make it come true. Because like you were saying, if you're going to keep on sitting there, you know, visualizing that brand new car in your driveway, unless you go out, get a job, find a way to pay for it, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is just about being able to work with the path of action that you feel is appropriate for the manifestation that you're feeling in the moment. And this is where we're moving into the heart mind, that the heart really is the true mind, and that represents feeling. And if we can really start to work together with our feeling, with our hearts, open up a lot more, then feeling becomes our reality. And that's where you see a lot more larger picture in regards to what reality means, rather than just looking at the physical brain.
Brad, before we go, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about body regeneration healing. Tell me about that. You developed it.
It is a concept that I was able to manifest just by being able to speak with, again, the entity I channel, Adronis, a lot more. And basically what it represents is holograms, and that these holograms are basically symbols, which I've termed as sacred circuitry. And basically what you're doing is you're just using your intuition to scan an individual's energy based upon these holograms that are being created. And so it's kind of like a very, very kind of spontaneous, abstract, hyperdimensional language.
Wow.
And as you start to communicate through intuition, you're actually talking to the person's body as if that body is a person within itself. In a way it is. And basically you're starting to diagnose all of these particular forms of ailments that they have. It's not so much of going into the medical field, but it's basically just having this kind of advanced form of healing. You know, this is in no form of replacing the medical profession, but it's basically just an additional technique that people can utilize by being able to have their body scanned and working together in co-creation between the facilitator and the one who is looking to become healed into a lot of different factors. And basically what it does is it orients itself to recalibrate the thought process of another person so that they actually start thinking more positively in ways of how they can improve their life, improve their health, improve any other particular factor that they want to do, being able to bring forward enhancements. And so it's all part and parcel of being able to work together in that co-creation to share with that person, scanning their energy and giving them advice in that way about what they can do to continue to improve their body. These holograms that are then created, again known as sacred circuitry, are being utilized to work together with the subconscious. They're actually codes, and these codes are actually working together with one's own auric field to actually help to create what's known as energetic diplomacy or energetic negotiation. And so it's negotiated with, and these people are noticing these very strong healing effects that happen within days.
Fascinating. Brad, we're going to have you back on because this hour has gone by so fast. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us tonight here in the X Zone. But before we go, once again, let our listeners know how they can find out more about you and the services that you offer.
Yes, you can go to, again, www.consciousmatrix.com. You can also email me at info@consciousmatrix.com. And again, there's a lot of stuff there, services, products, free videos, free meditations, all kinds of stuff. So feel free to check out the website.
Brad, take care of yourself. Pleasure talking to you, and say hello to everybody in Vancouver from their friends in Hamilton, Ontario.
Thank you so much, Rob. Take care. Thank you for having me on.
Bye-bye now. Exonation, bye. Brad Johnson has been my guest of this hour. www.consciousmatrix.com. That's www.consciousmatrix.com. And we're going to have Brad back on because we still have so much to talk about. This is the X Zone. My name is Rob McConnell, and I'll be back on the other side of the news at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour as we continue investigating the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology, Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here in the X Zone. www.xzoneradiotv.com is our website, and I will return at 6.5 minutes past the hour. Don't go away now.